In this video, we will try to understand what is the importance of this bin folder and obj folder in Csharp project in Csharp compiling. So first let me make a statement here. In both of these folders, we have compiled code. So in other words, when you write any code in your Csharp language and when you hit compile, both of these folders have the DLLs or the compiled code. So if you see in this bin folder also we have compiled code. In the obj folder also we have compiled code. But the question here which comes is that we have only one compiled code, right? So why do we need two folders? Why can't we just have one folder, and in that one folder why don't we have the compiled code? We have two folders because the compilation process goes through two steps: compiling and linking. You can see that above I have flashed a diagram where I've explained that the process of compiling is divided into two phases. One is compiling, one is linking. So what happens is, in compiling, every code file is compiled into individual compiled units. So let us say that if you have in your project multiple files like file1.cs and file2.cs, so every one of these files is compiled into individual units. The second process, what happens is, these compiled code files which are compiled individually is later linked into a single assembly which can be a DLL, which can be an exe, depending on what project type you have selected. So basically in the compile phase, first every code file of your project is compiled individually, and then in the link phase all of these compiled code files are combined to create a single unit which can be a DLL or which can be an exe. So whatever happens in the compile phase, the individual compiled units actually goes in this obj folder. And after the link phase, the final code, the final compilation goes into the bin folder. So out of curiosity, if we go and see both of these folders, so for example, you can see here, this is the bin folder. This is the bin folder output. Let me also show you the folder output for obj. So this is the obj folder output. So you can see here at the left hand side I have kept the obj folder output, and at the right hand side let me flash the debug folder. So you can see here, this is the debug folder, the bin folder, I'm sorry, and this is the obj folder at the left hand side. You can see that there are many files in obj folder. You can see this temporary generated file, again temporary generated file, because over here for every code file which I have in my project, he is creating the individual compiled units. And if you see at the right hand side, he has created only one exe and one DLL. So basically that intermediate compilation which happens, wherein first the individual files are compiled into individual compiled units, actually go into the obj folder, and then later on after the linkage it is either one exe or it's either one DLL, a single unit, right? So you can see here there are many files in the obj folder, but there are less number of files in the bin folder. But still this does not answer our question. Why do we need two folders? Because we can just have one folder in our project, that is the bin folder, and these intermediate compilation can happen in some temp directory. So you can have some C Windows temp directory where this intermediate compilation happens, and in my project folder I just have the bin folder, the final folder, right? But if you see at this moment, this obj folder is also a part of your project. You can see here, this is my console application 3 of Visual Studio, and inside this they have put the obj folder. So what is the point of having this obj folder inside the project? So that means that whenever I back up this project, whenever I check in this project, this obj folder also becomes a part of that checking and backing up, right? So one of the biggest achievement, or one of the biggest use of having this obj folder is conditional compilation or incremental compilation. What does that mean? Now assume that you have a project, and in your project you have a lot of solutions, you have a lot of projects, and in that project you have multiple files like file1.cs, file2.cs, file3, file4, and so on. So let us say you first compile. Initially when you compile, it will go ahead and compile everything, right, and create the final DLL or the exe in the bin folder. But now let us say afterwards you just make change in file3.cs. So if only file 3 has changed, then only file 3 should compile. isn't it? So that information is only there in the debug folder, or in the obj folder, I'm sorry, because in the obj folder we have individual entries of the file compilation. So this is the only folder, where I can go and check must be the date and time stamp or something, and say that, okay, so if only file 3 has changed, then only file 3 should compile, right? So because of this obj folder, we can have conditional compilation or incremental compilation. That means we only compile those files which have changed, and that will make your compilation faster, isn't it? So let me show you the demo of this conditional compilation. How does it work in Csharp? So you can see that I have this solution out here. It has class library 1, console application 3, and so on. And I have the bin folder and obj folder, right? So what I'll do is, first I will go and delete both of these folders. So both of these folders are not present. So that means, if I go and do a build here, build solution, it will actually go and build the class library. Also, it will go and build the console application 3, because it does not have any history of what has been built and what has not been built. But now if I go and do a build again, now you can see here, if you see the folder, it has created the bin folder, it has created the obj folder, and in the obj folder he has created individual entries of every file, right? But now if I go and do a build, I have not changed anything at this moment. So if I do a build solution, you can see that he does not build any files. Can you see that? But if I go and change something, for example, if I go and change here something here, like, I just make some enters like this, or I delete something, right? So I made some change in my file. So what it will do is, it will go and compare with the obj folder, saying that, okay, is this date and time change or something? So if I now do a build, you will see that he did not compile class library 3. Can you see that? He has not compiled class library 3. He has only compiled console app 3, incremental compilation, conditional compilation. He has only compiled what I have changed. So that magic is happening because of this obj directory. If you see here, if I go and again delete it, let me do that. Let me go and delete this. If I again do a build here, you will find that he has compiled console app 3. Actually, what he has not compiled class library, because even the class library has its own obj folder, right? So let me go and delete the class library obj folder. Let me go and delete the console app 3 obj folder. Now if I do a build here, you can see that he has compiled both of them. So by having the obj folder, you would get incremental compilation, you would get conditional compilation, and your compilation process is faster. So if you have a small project, if you're doing some sample application, practicing something, you can happily go and delete this obj folder. But if you're working with big projects, where you come every morning and you do compilation, you don't want to compile from the start, right? You just want to compile what has been changed. So in case you're working with big projects, keep this obj folder. It will save you time. But in case you're doing some sample applications, or if you have any issues, you can happily go and delete the obj folder. It will recreate it again. I hope that you enjoyed this video. In this video, we were trying to understand what is the difference between the bin folder and the obj folder in C# projects. Thank you very much.